Hello, I'm your host, Leonard Duncan. Welcome to a new episode of ATV-TALK and Motorsports Podcast. Please join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We bring you interviews with industry professionals, live events, live news about the motorsports industry in every episode. Enjoy the show. Whether we are out riding with our friends and family or racing in extreme environments, we all need good tires. That's why I recommend GBC Power Sports Tires, a division of Greenball Corp. Their products, which include XC Master, Mini Master, and Groundbuster 3, are what leading professionals in the ATV-UTV industry are using. You can get your tires at greenballtires.com or find them on Instagram as GBC Tires for further inquiries. Are you looking for the best suspension technology for your sport ATV? Look no further than Elka Suspension, the industry leader in sport ATV suspension technology. With championship wins in prestigious events such as the Dakar Rally, Score, Best in the Desert, ATV MX, Cross Country, and Works, Elka Suspension has established itself as the go-to choice for athletes and enthusiasts alike. But they don't just stop at ATVs. They're constantly expanding into new markets, including UTVs, trucks, SUVs, pit bikes, snowmobiles, and more. Their commitment to innovation and quality means they're always looking to improve and adapt so you can enjoy a smooth ride wherever you go. Want to learn more about what Elka Suspension can do for you? Visit their website at elkasuspension.com or give them a call at 450-655-4855. They will always be happy to answer your questions and help you find the perfect suspension solution for your needs. Jon Stumf, welcome to ATV Talk. How are you, bud?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Great.
Hey, I'm just going to get right to it here with you.
Sure.
I've gotten to talk theory with you under the 4130 Motorsports tent twice. And each time that I've came to Briarcliff, you've been there and we've had outstanding conversations. And I just wanted to let you know that I really enjoy that. We don't always have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
But you really do make me think. So I appreciate you taking some time to tell me about your backstory.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here. I had to call Leon today and get like a little debriefing. I said, how's this gonna work? Is Leonard gonna beat me up? So I'm glad to be here.
No, brother, I'm not going to beat you up. We're just going to have a great conversation talking about the sport we love and get a little backstory on you.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where to start for sure, but I grew up on a dairy farm, not far from here. My father is a motorsports kind of guy. He grew up in bikes, old Hidakas, Hondas, Rups, all the junk that they could afford when they were kids. And they really didn't push it on us when we were little kids. But when I turned 12, I really wanted a blaster. Like nobody wanted a blaster more than this kid. And it's because my older cousin, Ozzy, had a Banshee. And he said, hey, the Banshees fits me, the blaster would fit you. And I beat Dad up every day. Every day I beat up Dad for a blaster. So he finally said, okay, I'm not going to buy it, but what we'll do is we'll raise some steers. And when the steers sell, we'll buy you a four-wheeler. So long story short, we raised about a dozen steers. Now that I'm older, I found out that Dad made a ton of money on them, but he didn't tell me that at the time. And he found me a really clean 95 Yamaha blaster, and that was the beginning of the end, if I could sum it up easily. And
so that was the injection you needed to follow the ATV world.
Yeah, because we had a 300 Honda, and that 300 Honda was super popular in this area. every farmer had one, if not two. And to this day, you cannot kill a 300 Honda. And all of us kids grew up on it. I learned how to ride on a four-wheeler. Most of my friends grew up on three-wheelers, but I grew up on a four-wheeler, and I just wanted a blaster because that was every Dirt Wheels, every, you know, ATV Sport, whatever magazine I could get, that was like the seemingly right four-wheeler for me. So even though my dad was a Honda guy, I wanted a blaster, so, and that's where we are.
How did that go over, breaking the chain, going from Honda to Yamaha?
Well, it was dad was a busy dairy farmer, so he kind of just wanted to, like, okay, we'll get you what you want. And then after I got my blaster, my older brother David, he's like, hey, this is fun, I want to get in the scene. And then the Honda thing kicked in. Dad said, okay, the blaster's fine, but if we do another one, we're going to do a Honda. So my older brother got a 300EX. And then when my younger brother, I'm the middle child, when my younger brother got old enough, he got a 250EX. And I was the odd man out with the Yamaha.
So then why are you Johnny TRX?
That's a great question. So I rocked the blaster for 6 years. So that's probably why I'm a mechanic now.
I'm surprised you're not broken.
Yeah, and I was too tall for it too. I was like a monkey on a football. I didn't belong in that thing. But so in 2004, I bought a 250X because I was still racing sport class. And sport class around here was kind of like national. You could run 200 two-stroke, 350 four-stroke. And I had this ingenious idea to buy a 250X, get a 350X engine, made them together, and destroy sport class. And by the time I had my 250X, I was kind of outgrowing the sport class. And a YFZ 450 fell in my lap, another Yamaha. And I got to finally ride a 450. And this is like 2004-ish. And then I went, okay, sport class was fun, but it's time to move up a little bit. So I that was a short-lived dream to do the 350X thing. So
that's where that comes from, huh?
Yeah, that's where that kind of came from. So I went from a blaster to a 250X, and then I went to the YFZ, and then I kind of made the transition into Honda. I had a 250R about the same time, and then eventually switched over to 450Rs. So, but I rocked the YFZ for quite a while, the carb YFZ.
Did you race nationals?
On the YFZ, no, I did not race a national on that bike. By the time I was good enough to run nationals, I was on a Honda.
And how many years did you race in the nationals?
Well, I didn't race a lot of nationals, but I was a part of it. I wrenched for a couple people, and I raced locally here in Minnesota heavily in 2007 till about 16. I raced here in the District 23 state of Minnesota. We do a little bit in Wisconsin, but we'd only do a national here and there, like Redbud, Walnut. So I really focused here in Minnesota. I didn't really get into the nationals till later.
So growing up on a dairy farm,
yeah,
you guys learned how to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
From mechanics to carpentry to taking care of animals. You were busy guys.
Yeah, well, I was more of the field work machinery guy, and my dad is more of a cattle guy. So I found a home real fast on the seat of a tractor, and that's kind of what I like to do to this day. But yeah, there's three of us boys, and I always make the joke that dad went and signed the permission slips for football, so he bought us four-wheelers, and I think he's regretting it ever since. So
all three of you guys still into four-wheelers?
Older brother grew out of that when he went to college, sold his 300EX. And my younger brother, who's probably my best friend, he's he rode pretty competitively until about, oh, 13, 14, 15. And then he kind of slowed down. And then I just kept going. And but Matthew still has a wheeler. He's my younger brother. He still rides. He's one of those guys that can sit on a couch, 11 months out of the year, throw a leg over it, and destroy you. It's so frustrating. He's just dripping with natural talent. He used to womp on us back in the day on his little 300EX, just destroy us. Wasn't even trying. So he's very naturally talented.
That's freaking cool. I hate
Yeah.
those guys because I have to work for every little.
I know. I had to
detail
work
in
so
life.
hard. I had to work so hard, and Matthew could just ride the wheels. He'd destroy all of us. So, but Matthew's very mechanically inclined, so we have a great relationship because we both really enjoy it.
Well, you and I have had some great conversations about some theories and some setups. Where did the mechanic side of it come in for you? Because I watched you throw some wrenches around. You're very
Yep.
knowledgeable. You're talented. So
So going back to the dairy farm thing, we didn't have a lot of money, and once we got the four-wheeler, Dad's like, "Okay, your problem." So we had to learn ourselves, and I knew I wanted to do something hands-on. I thought I was going to be a farmer, but the mechanic thing just kind of kept pulling me. So when I graduated high school, I was already signed up to do a 2-year small engine program about 30 miles from here. So at that time, I was already working at a Polaris Yamaha dealership as like a setup guy.
I'm sorry.
Well, it was Yamaha, and that's when the YFZ came out. So I was like,
Okay.
I was able to put together a Banshee, a Blaster, a Warrior, and a YFZ, with my short stint working there. I didn't realize how cool that was at the time, but so once I was in a dealership, like I was in the surroundings of the dealership, I was kind of addicted. And when I went to college, I moved to a different dealership, and we did almost every brand. We did Honda, KTM, Kawasaki, Suzuki. So I was at a big dealership during college, and I learned more in college working at the dealership than I did going to school. It was so weird. I spend all morning at school paying to be there, and then in the afternoon I would go to my work and get paid and learn more there. It was just real world stuff, and I'm still addicted to it. I love spinning wrenches. So
What do you do today in the ATV world?
so lately it's been kind of quiet, because I'm building a new shop right now, and I'm not taking on as much this season. But in about 2011, 12, I started getting noticed for all the Hondas I would do. A lot of 450Rs, and my little brother Matthew started making stickers, and you put them on the heads of the engines I did, and it said JS Engines. And I thought it was kind of like he's just buttering me up, this is Johnny's sticker. He's putting his own sticker on his motors. And then little did I know that turned into a pretty good business by 2016 or so. And I was doing a lot of Hondas for a lot of people in this area. And so for the last 7-8 years, I've been doing a lot of engine builds, answering a lot of questions, stocking a lot of parts, trying to help the locals, the people in our area. And then I kind of met Leon and my other group of friends like David Gay and Neil Larson. And them guys were fast, and Leon is good. And before you know it, I'm helping other guys out, and bigger teams like 4130. And I'm very fortunate to be welcomed with open arms when I go to a national. JJ is awesome, and they trust me, which is awesome. I can go under the tent and they take my word for it. And Leon is awesome. Leon does all the setup. I get the easy part. I just get to go maintain it. Leon does a great job with setup, and so I've been lucky to be this far into it. But
And explain a little bit of the Leon relationship, because I met him on social media just a few years back, and you instantly become friends with that guy.
Oh yeah, super social. He's your best friend. So he worked for River forever with the Mickelsons, and I knew of him, but I didn't know him. And then when David Gay, who I worked with in 22, got a phone call from Jeremy and Leon saying that he wants David to ride under their tent for the 22 season. David told me that, and I said, David, I don't know what I can contribute to your program, but I got to be a part of this. So it was early spring, like middle of winter, essentially. And I said, David, are you interested at all with me wrenching for you for 22? And I already knew Leon. And David said, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to have you. So Leon and I started talking about, what's the season going to look like? What does he need from me? What does he expect of me? What can I do to help? And you spend enough sweaty weekends together at the races, you become pretty good friends.
I've never asked a mechanic this on the show. I think you're the right guy to ask this question. What is the role of a mechanic?
Ooh.
Are you ready for your next vacation adventure? Step into the heart of Arizona's natural splendor with a tour of Antelope Slot Canyon. Ideal for photography enthusiasts and nature lovers, our tours offer a unique journey through a landscape sculpted over millions of years. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone. We're going to have to do it. Let our expert guides lead you through the swirling sandstone formations where every turn reveals stunning light displays, geological marvels. Secure your spot now at Antelope Slot Canyon Tours and prepare to be awed by the canyon's mystical beauty. For details, please visit us at antelopeslotcanyon.com.
It's a little everything. I hate to say you have to babysit them, but some guys you do. It's kind of the truth. I think sometimes you're putting out fires. Sometimes you're trying to reassure them. I don't think I had a lot of riding. I mean, I wasn't like slow, but I wasn't fast as these guys, so I didn't have like a lot of real solid advice because these guys could outride me, any day of the week. So I try to keep my head down and make sure that when they went to the line, whatever they were sitting on, they felt confident on. So I really tried to give them all of me and make sure they had exactly what they would want on any given day. Nothing in question is what I would try for. So,
and that entails from taking care of their personal needs to making sure their machine is 100%.
Yeah, like, did you eat lunch? Did you drink enough water? I didn't see you eat after your first moto. You need to eat. And just little things like that. you know, try to make traveling easier. I'll drive. I don't want you to be wiped out when we get there. Just little stuff, and just be a good friend, you know, and be proud of him regardless. I don't want him coming back to the pits after a bad start or something with his head hanging or him ashamed. No, 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 no. I'm proud to be there. There's more to life than being down on these little things. So
That's 100% true. I don't think that your name has been alongside some of the named pros, but
no.
I believe that your skill set could put you there. And
No.
I watch, trust me, bro, I watch. And I've been very fortunate in my life to work with the people I have and get to do the things that I have. And you and Leon have all the skill sets. Um,
Well, I appreciate that.
well, when you sit and talk theory, you're explaining why you're running a dual injection system to me, and explaining it to me like Jaime from PEP explains it in detail. And I like that. I like the
Yeah.
way the terminology you used, the words you used, they came across really good. And your consciousness when you are washing the machines and doing these things. Not everybody gets to see that kind of stuff. And I'm not praising you to blow you up or make you something you're not. I got to physically watch these things. And even when mechanics don't think other mechanics are watching, they're watching.
Yeah, I think so too. I watch the other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Leon took great care of Doug. I couldn't be the mechanic for the job because I had another job to do.
Yeah.
And you guys took great care of him. And I care greatly for that guy because I was his mechanic for,
Yeah. Well,
almost 14 years.
and I think of it as a couple different ways. I grew up reading about him. I watched all the Huevos movies until the tapes exploded. Like I've watched Dust to Glory. My wife won't even walk past the TV if it's on. Like them guys are so ingrained in the sport. So me, just some farm kid from Minnesota, able to help Doug or anybody, is an honor. I don't take it lightly, and I'm glad Doug had a good time and you guys were able to make it. It's cool to see you West Coast guys over on the East, so it's pretty neat.
It's difficult to get there sometimes, but we do our best,
Yeah.
to come out there. It was a stretch, and there was some great people that helped us make it happen. But we
Yeah.
got it done, and I appreciate all the support. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, or to get in with you about, is what does it take for the setup for getting ready to go to the races for you?
Well, I guess I got the easy job because Jeremy and Leon have to load everything up. So I'm going to resort back to 2022 when we went to all the nationals. We flew to almost all of them. So we'd fly out Thursday, be there Thursday night, help set up, and then that way we were sharp and ready Friday morning. I don't mind driving, but I am a ways from everything. Like Leon's right in the middle of Ohio, and that's kind of the best spot to be because you're within hours of everything. But being up in Minnesota, everything was pretty far for us. So we didn't, like Daytona, I mean, to drive would be 26-ish, 7-ish straight hours. So, we would fly to most of these. And with challenges because you want to bring gear, or hey, I got a different steering stabilizer I want to bring, or and then you have to check bags and worry if TSA is going to dig through your stuff and what's this thing? What is this? And so there's challenges there, but we made it work.
So being that you were the lead for a specific machine, did you have that machine at your shop, or did you have to go work on it at theirs?
No, Leon would bring that machine back with them in the toter every weekend. So David and I would try to do as much as we could at the track when the day was over on Sunday, and try to make it as easy as possible. We'd wash it, we'd prep it as much as we could, but sometimes we got to catch a flight, so we'd leave a little bit on Leon. Actually, more than a little bit. He did a lot of it, but we didn't want to just lean on him to do everything. We didn't want to take him for granted. They were already doing us a favor by hauling everything around for us. So we try to do as much as we could ourselves.
I don't want to brag on Leon. This is John's show, not Leon's show. But that guy, he never stops, does he?
No, he doesn't. And he's a thinker. He's always trying to improve. I don't think if you're not improving, if you're not thinking forward, you're not ever going to improve. And I know it sounds crazy, but like JJ rode that track real well at Briarcliff, like really well. And him and I are still throwing around stuff we could do better. And people think, well, how could he possibly go faster? We have to. That's our job as a mechanic too, is to help, behind the scenes of whatever JJ need or David need, get these guys what the tools that they need,
I got a picture with JJ right before we left.
Yeah.
And my top of my head is under his shoulder. And I'm thinking when I was looking at the picture, how does this kid even ride this bike? He doesn't look that big in the photos, or in the videos. He looks big, tall.
Yeah.
He doesn't look that big. And that is one tall kid.
Yeah. And I'm tall too. And Chad Weenan really knows how to use his height to his advantage, and JJ is using it as well. But you just wouldn't think a guy of his stature could muscle that thing like he can. I mean, he can outride that thing 8 days a week,
He's already using his body as leverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
See the way he rides. And, Joe Bird, 6'4", 6'5", Dustin Wimmer, he's 6'3" at least, maybe 6'4". Yep. I mean, there's been some really tall guys that have won titles compared to a lot of little guys too, but it's incredible the size of that kid, man.
Yeah, he has so much leverage. And like a guy like Joel Hetrick is undeniable, like one of the best ever live. And he's not a tall guy, but he knows exactly what he's good at, and he can ride the hell out of that thing, And then Chad, way different stature. Yep. You watch him in rollers, them legs are doing all the work. I mean, he makes any shot guy feel like a pro, because he can ride everything so buttery smooth,
Right. Yeah. I think JJ is going to be a lot like that, as he progresses. And if he keeps having the success he's going to have, he's probably going to go into the pro class. And I don't know if he'll go right to the front. It'll take him a couple of years to adapt. Yeah. But man, though this year he's proving that he's got some skills, man.
Yeah. He's maturing on the machine a lot. I can see it in him. And I always felt, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I always thought ATV guys peak at a higher age than the two-wheel guys. It's yeah. So the two-wheel guys will like peak early 20s, and the ATV guys take a little longer, and JJ is figuring out a little sooner than most, I think.
Well, look at history. You remember reading the magazines?
Oh, I read them all.
Okay. All of those champions that you read about?
Yeah.
Deep in their 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at the history of the dominant guys in our industry, the age is dropping slowly.
Yep.
JJ, Jeremiah Jones, was the first young guy to come in and win a title. Early 20s.
Yeah.
Broke the chain. But after him, nobody that young has came in.
How old was Dustin Wimmer when he won? He couldn't have been too old.
He was not that old. He was probably mid-20s, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
He didn't stay long.
No, he didn't. His career was kind of short in pro.
What did he win? What did he win the title in, 7 and 8?
Well, he won them both on Suzuki's.
Yeah, or was it 8 and 9?
Maybe 8 and 9.
Okay. No, it was uh I think it was 9 and 10, 8 and 9 or 9 and 10, because Natalie won it in 11, Wienen in 12, I believe.
Yeah,
Or in 12. One of the I don't remember exactly all of the dates when everybody won, but um he left early.
yeah,
He left
yeah,
when like 28 years old. And
yeah.
he had,
Yeah, and I think when Suzuki pulled, he decided to go too.
yeah,
You
because
know.
the money wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I understand it from both spots, but
I get a little bummed thinking about it because I've got to see that 3 times. I've seen the factories pull out 3 times. And each time they did it, it devastated the pool of riders that you had. And now you have to build back more with more talent and more love of the sport.
yeah,
And you bring back guys that are solely doing it because they love it, not for a paycheck. And a guy that loves it is going to go faster than a guy that's doing it for a paycheck.
yeah, yeah. And luckily, I've only worked with people that are passionate about it, that love it. Um, that's one thing. When you take money out of the equation, you really get to enjoy it.
I think so too. I believe the funnest years of my life doing this were when I wasn't uh, within reason. I wasn't getting the money that I got at other times.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I mean, it sounds good on paper, and then when you're there, it's like, man, it kind of takes some of that. Well, if we do good, we do great. If we don't, it's fine too. And now it's a little more stressful. But
I always wanted to win regardless,
oh, me too. Yeah, yeah,
but when you're doing it for money, it is more stressful because you are paid because you're supposed to win.
exactly. They hired you. You know.
Win. Period.
Yep.
You weren't hired to get second, third, have a problem. You were there to win the race, period. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah,
You carry that thing 100 miles to the finish line. Dude, you better get on it because it's a long
yeah,
hike.
yes. Second's cool. Third's great, but winners is what people care about. The winners. And then we always trying to win. So
Right. Right
yeah,
on. Right. I know that I wanted to get into some of the theory stuff with you. It's really difficult because we're not standing in front of a machine and I get to ask you questions, pointing
yeah,
things out. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Uh,
yeah.
I really enjoy that portion more. But the techniques, when you're talking about being self-taught, how did you learn some of your techniques?
Um, I guess trial and error. When I was at that big dealership throughout college, there was a gentleman that worked there that was my dad's age, and he's still there. He's been there 46 years,
Wow.
and he lived through all the all the crazy 70s and 80s three-wheelers and all that, and a real quiet soul. His name is Mike Adams. He is the best. I don't care what anybody ever says, but anyhow, um, he I was the 18-year-old that couldn't do it fast enough, and he was the 56-year-old that said, "Hey, let's pull this back. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're overlooking things." And he let me hone in my technique a little bit. Um, but I'm mostly self-taught. I learned the hard way with a lot of stuff. You know, um, yeah, you ball hone a cylinder too long, guess what happens? If you don't check ring end gaps, guess what happens? Um, I'm self-taught too, so Luckily, I didn't have to live through that too long before I figured some things out. I think that can get to a person if they're not learning from their mistakes. But my thing has always been and always will be reliability. I don't care about the horsepower. That comes second. If I can't get you to finish, there's no point. So I am always on reliability. Everything I do is about dependability and finishing. So that's always number one to me.
So when you start prepping a race bike, what's some of the procedures that you go through?
Well, I think if you bring a bike back from a race and it's dirty, it's in its race clothes, I think the wash job is more important than washing. I think getting your eyes on it up close and personal is everything, and taking note of what you see, and also holding data from previous, like, okay, last time I pulled a valve cover was 2 motos ago. I got to keep an eye on my intake valves. I don't reuse air filters, those kind of things. And I guess I was never one to go, oh yeah, it just got an oil change, or just tighten the bolt. I chase everything with a torque wrench. It's always a new copper washer. I never use oil filters. I've always been a little bougie about throwing money at them in the right places. I don't reuse things that are questionable. And with race prep, if anything's questionable, now's the time to do it. I'm not going to drive 500 miles to be on questionable stuff. So I pride myself with a very few DNFs, and I've always been a stickler with reliability. It's always going to be my thing. So,
Right. Even the most seasoned veterans make mistakes.
oh yeah,
Thinking that my biggest deal is every time that I feel it in my gut that I'm thinking about it, better go check it, because that's what's the problem. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. Back when we were heavy in Hondas, I worked in 2011. I met a local kid named Neil Larson, and I took him under my wing in 11 because I was kind of like Roger DeCoster with Ryan Dungey. I saw potential. I saw a work ethic, and a work ethic is, you can't mimic it and you can't create it. This kid had work ethic, so I took him under my wing. And if he'd come to me after moto and say he jumped out of third gear, I didn't just go, oh, his boot slipped, whatever. A Nerf net caught it. No, I knew deep in my gut that he probably took out third gear and it's probably going to jump out again. And that was kind of the Honda thing, either you took a transmission out or a crankshaft, and maybe that's why I got so good at them. But I didn't ignore the signs, and just shrug it off. I think a lot of guys just, oh yeah, they don't know what they're doing, or they don't know how to ride it. Like, no, I think they do.
So, being that motocross bikes, they're everybody's weight conscious. Did you guys run hour meters, and did you have a journal on the machine, or did you calculate everything in your head and categorize it that way?
I kept a lot of it in my head because that bike was pretty. The bikes that I maintained full time were pretty much my pride and joy. So I kind of had a mental note but I did have like a note in my iPhone where I'd keep data, mostly like shimming, ring end gaps, piston cylinder clearances, cylinder wear, stuff I can measure periodically and just kind of keep an eye on as it went. But after you do it for a few years, you just kind of know, like, okay, it's puffing blue, off throttle, I know what that is. And, it's a high idle, that carburetor's wore out. Just like little things you just pick up on after a while. And yeah, most of it was just kind of locked in here. I don't have any other hobbies. this is it. This, like Leonard, this is all I do. So I didn't have much else to take up space. Everything was ATV racing.
As your ATV career progressed and you brought a family in, how did the family adapt to the love of ATVs?
So I met my wife in 15, and I was really hot and heavy into racing. I was really fit. I was racing A class, and she thought it was pretty cool. What guy doesn't think you look pretty cool, doing well on a motocross track? But my my love for riding kind of turned into a love for wrenching. So in 17, I took a little break from riding, and I started helping that friend of mine, Neil Larson. We built him a lowered Honda from the ground up, and I worked with him hand in hand because he was finally coming into his years, and we put our head down hard in 17, 18, 19, and Neil won a lot of races, and I was really enjoying that part of it. Like Neil can ride, there's no doubt. He's doing the work off the track, which is really important. And I was doing the work off the track too, but in a different way. And my family has always had my back. My brother, my younger brother, I've mentioned, if I needed anything, it's when, where, how can I do it? I've always had support. If I tell my wife I got oodles of stuff to do, I got to work on a Sunday, go do your thing. Everybody's been really supportive, but I try to give back too, and not take it for granted.
Right. We talked in the pre about the baby cages behind you for all the kids that she watches. Your wife is quite the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't spend that much time with that many youngsters. No,
Yeah.
it's not. And I got 6 grandkids.
Okay.
I love them all, but a couple hours, grandpa's like, okay,
Yeah, time to go home.
where's the outlet here?
Yeah, and I love the kids too, but it's definitely her calling. She loves the children, and when I can stop in during the day, the kids are pretty fun, because I'm the hero. I get to stop in for lunch, and John this, John that, or if I drive a 4-wheeler home for lunch, holy cow. They got to see that and then do a wheelie or something, and they just freak out. But yeah, I don't try to push my family and just take. I try to give back too.
It's for people that work a lot or are passionate about what they do. It's definitely a give and take. My wife very much grants me a very broad deal with the podcast and my job and
Yeah.
Going out in the shop. Sundays when she's home, because my wife goes to nursing school on Sundays. If she's home on a Sunday and she hollers my name out the door, day's over. Doesn't matter what you got going on, day's over.
Yeah.
You put the tools down, put the door.
No, and it's important. These kids are real impressionable, and I don't want them to just know my taillights when I'm leaving for work. I want them to know who I am. I grew up in a dairy farm. My dad nose to the grindstone every day, and I know what it's like on both ends of it. So, yeah, try to be present, but still try to hold a high level. It's tough when you're a perfectionist, because you just can't leave something so. And like you were saying, Leonard, if you feel in your gut, oh, that's a sickening feeling, because you can't let it go until it's done. You were telling me about those cam sprocket bolts. Yep. You didn't sleep a wink until you checked them.
Nope. I had to do it, and the next year, the exact same scenario, I thought the cam tower was loose.
Oh,
I took it about it again, and these guys are looking at me like I'm totally bonkers,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, after almost 600 miles and and the thing is still just freaking ripping. It's not puffing any smoke. You know, it pulls its strongest at the end of the race. They're happy, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it's what you and I need as techs, you know, for us to sleep at night. That's, you know, that's how we're rewarded, you know, that we did our stuff right, you know.
You know, I learned some of that is I had a couple issues, you know, in the mics in the, you know, the Eichner era where I didn't check something and it bit me.
Yeah.
Oh, and I, you know, same with Sloan. I had to, you know, I know I got to check that. I got to check that. I got to check. Never got to it during the race. What do you think? I should have checked, you know, and so you learn, you know, and I feel bad that those things happen, but every guy, I don't care what mechanic it is or who it is, it happens to every guy.
Yeah.
You get busy, you get distracted, and that nagging thing is still there. And sometimes you go to the finish line and it didn't hurt you, and you find it when you get home and you're like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, that was lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. That axle nut was really loose. I didn't, you know, or
Yeah.
I saw the sprocket bolts move when he left the hole shot. That's a sickening feeling, you know, and that's why when you find me, you know, working on JJ's, there's a wrench in both hands. I my college professor, his name is Keith Austin. He's retired now, but he told me when I was like 18, he goes, "There's no excuse for loose." So I think about that every time I'm at the track. No excuse for loose. So
No, there's really no excuse to make mistakes like that because we're professionals. We're supposed to be able to catch it. There again, we're also human.
yeah.
So, how did you get tied in with working with the, you know, the invitation for coming in and standing in for Leon when he's got other obligations?
Well, that's a great question. Leon and I understand each other really well, and we both have a real high standard. So Leon is gracious enough to just trust me. So he can, because at Briarcliff, that's his whole family there. His stepson's running that little DDR. You know, Leon's running that blaster in the vintage class. He's running 30A. And I said, Leon, go do your stuff, man. I got this. You know, I want to help. And I don't know what your blaster needs, and I don't know what Colt needs, but I do know how JJ is because I've been around him a little while. I can handle this. And he's just very trusting in me, and I'm trusting in him. And they welcome me in every time. And I cannot stress enough how wonderful it is for a guy like me to just fly into Ohio and Jeremy greet me with a bag of shirts and never questions anything I do. So it's just a ton of fun. And then to have a winning weekend on top of it, you kind of leave on cloud nine. Briarcliff was amazing. I got to meet all these guys I've only read about. Doug, you know, I've met Doug Gus, but I've never really talked to him. Corey Ellis, Dustin Wimmer, like I've never really talked to him, to be honest. I was really young when they were in the scene, you know? And then here's Dustin Wimmer coming over to my tent asking for 2 nuts. Yeah, Dustin, I could probably give you 2 8mm nuts. I could probably find that in my bin for you, you know? When I was in 2008, I had 2 Yamahas and I built them just like Corey Ellis's, identical graphic kits, bumpers, everything. And I had a profile picture on my phone, and I went over to Corey and I stuck my phone. I showed it. I said, "You were the inspiration for me in 2008 to build these Yamahas." And he's like, "Man, that is so cool." You know, so it was just it was awesome for Jeremy to treat me the way he does, and then to be in the presence of all these great guys. So yeah, you know, I just kind of left there on cloud nine. So they're racing Loretta's this upcoming weekend. I don't get to go. I got other obligations, but I can't tell you how hard it is not to go down to Tennessee after having such a great weekend, you know?
Yeah, I'm hoping that JJ can pull off uh, a win in the pro-am again, because winning that pro-am would probably elevate him into the number 2 spot behind
Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah.
Not to see Kevin Saar not be successful. It's nothing against him, but JJ's only 10 points behind him.
Yeah, I know.
And
And
they
we
still
need
have a
to also
pro-am.
mention, we need to mention that Kevin Saar had a mechanical on Sunday,
I did
and
not know.
he handled it like a gentleman. He didn't throw a helmet. He didn't he didn't make a big hissy fit about it. He handled it like a gentleman. So hats off to Kevin Saar. He can ride like the Dickens, and he handled his misfortune like a man. So whether JJ beats him or not, you're up against the best. And Mason was undeniable Sunday afternoon. There was no catching Mason Jackson. Unbelievable. He was fit to be tied. There was no catching Mason. So that second moto was fun to watch.
And the first moto, what happened to Mason?
I overheard something that his intake fell off, or I guess, don't quote me on it, Leonard, but something about the intake or airbox fell off.
He had a mechanical.
Yeah, mechanical.
Okay.
And I don't know if he pulled off and finished. I'm not sure, but they had it figured out for that second moto, and holy balls, Mason was on fire. So, but JJ knew he had the overall if he let Mason go, so it was the right move, and it was just kind of an awesome moment.
Why risk it?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask your opinion on this because you've been around a number of years. What do you think of the deal with Joel and Kinsey?
Oh,
It's 2 motos. I mean, they each have 2 motos to write themselves into the history books forever.
yeah. And Joel is in his good years, so I don't see any quit in the kid. Joel is he's like he's the whole package. He's personality, he's fast, he's got the work ethic, he's got the right people in his corner. Joel is undeniable. It's I don't know how much longer he wants to go, but he could rewrite the books for sure.
Well, he's already, if he wins these next 2 motos, he will have done something that no ATV rider has ever done.
What, he has 2 perfect seasons?
No, 1 perfect season.
One perfect, because last year wasn't a perfect season. Yeah. So as far as ATV goes, he'd have a perfect season.
And Kinsey had the same problem last year.
Yep.
And she's 2 motos away from perfect season.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. I wonder how bored she is riding that track in Briarcliff. How many laps she spun there.
Not at all, because yes, it is her home track, but she just did the center triple days before the race.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first time she had done it.
Oh, that's cool.
I talked to Shelby, and Shelby had been doing it from the prior year, and Kinsey still hadn't, and Kinsey was still winning the race.
Yeah, she's fast.
I mean, right in the 450 class too.
Yeah, I know. And I kind of giggled when I was leaving the track to catch my flight on Sunday. I pulled up on the tar road and took a right, and that's where their house is. And here's Kenzie, middle of Sunday afternoon outside washing her 4-wheeler at home, which is 1,000 feet from the track, which is just kind of funny. Like, she pulled off the track and drove up to the house and washed it.
Right.
I thought not many people can do that, so.
How many people would love for the race to be in their backyard so they didn't have to drive anywhere?
Yeah. She sleeps in her own bed and she's at the track in 2 minutes, so, but Jeremy did such a great job putting that together, and the Osbornes are just great people. So that was a pretty cool weekend. The numbers were outrageous. It was like electric when the legends were out. It was just great.
How many motos do you get to watch when you're at a race?
It really depends on how much stress we have. So, because my priority is putting out a good bike, you know. So,
Well, I
you
don't.
know,
You guys didn't have a whole lot going on.
no, no. Besides a couple loose things here and there, no, we didn't have any big issues. Not like 2 years ago when I first met you, we lost a motor midday Saturday,
Right.
but um,
Yeah, and
no,
your
we
knee
didn't.
went to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah. I got to put my big boy underwear on, and I had to do all of it on my own. But it worked out really good because we had a good day Sunday. But um, yeah, it really depends. Like Jeremy's not one to tell you can't go watch. Like we need to get things done. But I take it upon myself to make sure that my work is done before I go watch. And I love watching the pros. I mean, yeah, and like the the 250 mod class, them kids are just wicked fast. I got a kid that I work with that's in B class, so I try to make it to the B classes to watch him. So it really depends, what a day looks like.
I was bummed. I got to see the motos for the pros and the legends, little glimpses here and there of other races, and I didn't get to talk to the pro sport guys and the pro am
Yeah,
guys. Some of the A riders that I talk about in my in the race reports. I wanted to go and meet those kids. I was so bummed that I was just so busy. I didn't even get, Richard Pelchet. I didn't realize he was RP racing until just now.
oh yeah, yeah.
How big of a moron do you gotta
No,
be?
you're
I
not you're
mean,
not yeah.
I mean,
it,
I was just looking through some stuff right before our show, right before I hit send on the link, and I went, "How can you not know who that is?"
I've had the moments too, my friend, don't worry about it.
So
uh
I sent him a private message. Hopefully he'll respond. Like, dude, I'm sorry. I am a freaking moron. And hopefully I get to talk to him. Uh, I've never met Guy either. The two guys
okay.
from, and I don't know if he speaks English or not, but he's been around for years, and we've been in a number of races together. I just didn't get a chance to go talk to him.
Yeah, they speak some broken English, but you can understand them and they can understand you. And
Talk to Richard.
they do a really good job with product. There's a lot of RP stuff out there, a lot
Yeah.
of pipes, a lot of intakes, a lot of RP product. They're really giving back. They're doing their part, and people are responding to it.
That's good stuff from what I hear. I mean, I've
Yeah, it
used,
is. It's very good stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know that their exhaust is different and some of their ideas are different. There's, I don't agree with everything, but you know what? I very seldom agree with what everybody does. And I'm not telling you
Well,
anybody wrong.
yeah,
I just have a different way to skin the cat.
yeah, yeah, and that's what makes it great, right? I mean, there's options. You know, um, my setup is probably way off what Joey Norris's dad is going to put together for Joey, but Joey's fast as hell.
Right.
So what works for what one guy works for the other. You said you wanted to go talk to some of those pro sport guys and pro am guys. Like they are such nice guys in those classes. You'd have such a hoot talking to some of them. They are nice kids, really
Yeah,
nice
I
kids.
really wanted to meet Joey because he'd had such a great beginning of the season. And I
Oh
just
yeah,
wanted to, get with him about, where was he at physically, mentally. It
yeah,
seemed like that he was having a little struggle at the second half of the season here. And,
yeah.
and wanted to get some insight into it because he was, in my opinion, so dominant in the beginning.
Oh yeah, like Daytona, he just it's like he rode that track 100 times before he showed up. Yeah, Joey is very impressive this year, and
That
he
big
had
jump
a
he did at that other race.
yep. Um, he had a get off on Saturday. Did he crash? He
I
he had a little get off. Yeah,
Sunday.
he had a get off, but I think he's okay. I don't think it was anything terribly serious, but
You know, they said something about him having a shoulder gig
yeah.
2 or 3 races ago, and then you hear nothing, and his results are not what they were.
Mhm.
Is it mental? I don't know. I just think that I'd love to talk to the kid to find out what's going through his head, because him and JJ are the two up and comers that would probably be rolling into the pro class, if not in 2025, in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know what Joey's plan is, but um I'm guessing Joey's about the same age as JJ, maybe that 18, 19, 20-ish area. So
Something like
he could stick around in Pro-Am if he wanted to, and no one would blame him. Um,
because I think that back to our conversation about age.
yeah,
I think that these guys staying in the pro sport pro am deal, maybe to their 21, 22 is better, because then they're maturing into the pro class. Because I believe you have to be a more mature rider to race quads than you do to race motorcycles.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
I haven't come down to the exact way to equate that, so that I could give you a definition of it. But if you look at Joel Hetrick at 24 and you look at Joel Hetrick at 28, it is not the same young man.
No, he's changed his style. He's so cool and collected. If someone passes him, it's not it's not a dash to ride completely over your head to get him back. Like, he's methodical. He thinks it out. Um, Bryce Ford is another one that, as he gets older, he's really putting it together. Yeah, like we talked, it just comes to the quad guys a little later in life.
I, I
Um,
think I think Brandon Hogue has the physical fitness down. I think Brandon Hogue is a great rider. I don't think Brandon Hogue could buy luck to save him.
yeah, it's his luck got way better when he switched to the blue bikes. Because he could outride a Honda. He had the best people in the world building a motors, and he rode a Honda till there was no Honda left.
Right.
And it's not that the Hondas were bad; it's just that we're faster than what they can do. And him switching to the blue bike was a good move for Brandon. Um, I think he didn't want to right away, because my friend Neil was kind of buddies with them, and Brandon didn't really want to make the switch. But when he did, he finalized it. You could tell that he belonged on it, and
And
like
he
him
committed.
breaking that axle
Yeah,
on
he
on
committed.
Saturday, he's just yeah, he was running one of the better races that he's ever done, and then a busted axle, and it's over.
That's what I'm saying. If he had zero luck, he'd be better off.
He's got a good attitude. I
Yeah.
like the kid. Yeah, he works really hard. Um, so there's good things to come for Brandon. Uh,
You
you
know,
know,
those top 5 guys, maybe top 6 guys with Nick Janusa. You can't count out Rastrelli either. I like all of them. I really enjoy talking to all of them.
they're great dudes. Yeah, and not that I want Joel to leave or Chad to leave, but you imagine the race for first if Joel and Chad were both gone. Them
Wow.
guys, oh my gosh. Because unfortunately it's kind of a race for second right now. But if they were racing for first like they are now,
But
holy like
but
Wesley Wolf, like
can
them
you
guys
see
are
the closure?
yeah.
Can you see the closure though? Joel's still dominant, but the closure's coming.
Well, I just wonder what Joel wants, what does he want to do, and if Chad comes back, um, I just don't think you're going to beat Joel.
So
And
never to, not to interrupt, but I consider Chad a friend, and because I was not at the height of my career when I met Chad, but I was working for Tavis Kane back east, and Chad came over when he was riding Hondas and snapping them in half, because he was a big kid and just so aggressive and just wanted help. And I mean, I was maxed out. I couldn't do any more to help him.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't think
I
he had anything left to prove.
I think his legacy, his consistency, he's everything. He's the mechanic. He builds his own bikes. He drives the rig there. He's got, I think, 2 children. He
Oh,
runs his Wien Motorsports as a business.
yeah.
Um, he handles every aspect of it with poise and professionalism. Like Chad is a well put together package, and you put him in a whooped out track like Red Bud or something like that. I mean, hold on, brother. Like there ain't nobody that can handle that rough stuff like Chad. Um, what a pleasure that we got to be a part of that, even from like our perspective, sitting back and watching it. We got to live while he was just so dominant, you know.
And look at
Um,
you. Did you ever think, okay, after Gary Denton goes 8, and then you see champions and
yeah,
this guy and that guy, and then another guy, and then another guy, and then another guy, and now you're rolling into the Chad times where it's Chad, and then Joel jumps in there and wins one, and now we're into the Joel.
I would like to think that Chad Weenan wrecked ATVs like Ricky Carmichael wrecked dirt bikes. Them guys would just show up and ride, and then Ricky put all the work in, and you couldn't catch him. And Chad Weenan did the same thing. Chad Weenan put his head down Monday through Friday, and them boys had nothing but catch up to do,
Right.
because Chad was so determined to win, and his yeah, and his system works. Uh,
Look at how well he does with Max Lindquist.
yeah, look at when Max was underneath him, Max completely flipped a coin. He came out of that. He came out of that like a rocket ship. It's like, who is this kid? He's from Wisconsin. What's his name? And he
Right.
could ride. He could ride instantly. And that's probably because of Chad. A big part of it.
Well, his background, he befriended Chad, but I believe that you have that stock class, that stock pro class that Max got to ride
Yep.
the year before he turned pro with those guys. And without that, I think they're hurting our entry level pro guys.
Yeah. I hated seeing that class go. I
I think
hated
we
it,
need,
but
I think they need to get rid of, the pro sport class, make that a pro am Saturday class, and bring back that stock pro class. Yeah, granted, it'd be all Yamahas, but who cares? Let's groom these future pro riders with pro riders, put some money on the class, and make it happen.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of like stock car racing. You put the guys on all even equipment,
And everybody
let them
says,
go.
"Oh, but the AMA won't support it." I don't care about the AMA. The promoter
Yeah,
has the ability to put a class in at any given time that the AMA can't stop. So every
yeah.
promoter put that into their schedule.
And when them guys would roll out, like people wanted to watch that because it leveled the playing field in a different way, like we've never seen before. And like Joel was on an LTR, and that LTR would barely hold together for Joel, like barely. And yeah, and then Chad and the Yamaha, the stock sounding Yamahas, it's almost like electric out there because you couldn't hear them; they were so quiet.
Right.
It was just fun to watch. We needed it. We need that.
I don't know. I talk to a lot of guys in the industry that are behind the scenes, the writers for the magazines and, Joe Tall from ATV On Demand. And we are always discussing, where's the next 450 going to come from? I
Yeah.
do not believe it's coming from a Japanese-based manufacturer.
You don't think so?
Nope.
You think KTM would try again?
Nope.
You don't think they will?
KTM is putting so much money in their road bike program.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think they think the ATVs are a joke.
Yeah.
As far as selling millions of street bikes to thousands of ATVs as a bean counter, okay, but that would just make your company stronger and your legacy and legend stronger because you'd be selling a red one, a white one, and an orange one. And if you do everything correctly, you'll have 2 or 3 different models of those. If they went and got an ATV guy that knew what the hell he was talking about and set them up correctly, Yamaha would struggle to keep up. The Honda legend would be gone because nobody would be riding a Honda. They would be riding a red bike that was a gas or a Husky or a KTM in the desert or in the motocross or in the woods, and then Yamaha would have their couple different version models because then they would have to upgrade their machine and do it. Do I think that would happen? No. And I'm not a huge fan of KTM solely because I don't think they do it correctly, but I don't think their quality is the same as a Jap bike either. You'd have to get me inside, in the depths to really work with them to understand their thinking behind the things they do before I would change my mind. I have a sore spot and in private, I'll tell you why, but I won't say it on the show because it's not proper. They did something to me that I'll just never forgive. But
yeah, I understand.
But I believe a Chinese manufacturer is coming with a 450. I believe it's coming.
Okay.
Whether it's going to be a race quality 450, I don't know. But a 450 is going to come from them. They've dabbled with it in other things, but you could see it happening. You never know. Triumph could jump into quads. Who knows?
Yeah. If you had to put money on a Japanese manufacturer that would produce another 450, you had to put money on one of them, who would you pick?
Couldn't. So I'll run it down for you. Honda, they're out because they don't give a shit. One, they want to build jets and make money in cars, and their motorcycle program is probably on the bubble. Okay. If you look at their MotoGP career, they're floundering. Why? They've built the greatest motorcycles and ATVs in the history of the sport and had the most dominant errors, and now they can't build a MotoGP bike to win. Bull. They're just not putting any effort in.
Yeah.
So they don't care about ATVs either, or we'd have one. Their UTV it's a good car. I think it's quality-wise probably the best. But maybe it's not the most horsepower. Maybe it doesn't handle the best, but it's quality. You ain't beating it. Roll into Suzuki. They're 2000. What is it? A 2008 RMZ 450
Yeah, there are.
is
Yeah,
the same bike that they're selling today. Might be I might be they got the years wrong, but it's the
I
same.
know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's the exact same bike, kickstart, and it's a good bike. Rock's improved. It's a good bike. It can win, as it is.
Yeah.
But they're building mini cars. They don't care. They're selling the motorcycles they build, They have no desire because they still have a bad taste in their mouth because government got involved in shit that government shouldn't be involved in. And that's why they don't have a 2011, 2012, 2013 LTR 450. You know, I don't know if everybody knows that, but that's my take on it. Kawasaki. I think they're over it. I think
they really tried. They really tried for us, and then it just didn't work.
Solely because I don't think they had from the main company, the input was incorrect for what they were trying to build. And once they built it, they weren't going to freaking go back on what they built because of dishonor or whatever. They could have took the same freaking frame, adapted a different electrical system and motor package to that 450, and that 450 would still be ridden and raced today because it was a good bike. It was just a horrible electronics with a horrible engine package. You know, they just could have put the dirt bike motor in it with the dirt bike electrics, and you know, we'd be racing it today.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. You know, it's really difficult. I never liked the KTM models that were sold to the industry. I didn't think that Timmy Farr loved them and did a great job developing them for what they are. I just don't think that in my world, they were never that.
You know, and I was talking to Eichner a little bit in Ohio. I said, Doug, what do you got at home? He goes, I got a KTM. I said, really? You know, it kind of struck me as maybe he was a Honda guy or, you know, another Yamaha guy, but he's got a KTM, he says.
Yep. He loves it.
Yeah, he does.
I wouldn't piss on if it was on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I owned one for a while and I freaking hated it.
Yeah.
They're just not my cup of tea. I'm not telling you don't go buy one. I'm not telling you a guy that loves one, he shouldn't. I'm just never going to be that guy.
And I have never set hands on one. We didn't really have dealer support when they came out, and they were too expensive. Well, they weren't too expensive, but people chalked them up to be too expensive. And I never really got to put my hands on one. But the magazine loved them. You know, they were set up from the factory, and you know, you're 50 inches, and you got the tires, you got the bead locks, you got the shocks, and
poor quality components. You know, cheap components or poor quality components don't set you up as dialed in.
Yeah.
C-class guy, no problem. No problem.
Yeah. Can-Am tried it with the DS too. They sold, you know, fully fledged MX DSs out the door, and
that was a bomb.
Oh, that was rough. I worked for Warner in 2008 when we were racing cross country with Chris Bithell and Chris Jinks. Right. And that was rough going. We did some stuff that you shouldn't have to finish races. It was, I got stories about Can-Am, but
they're 11-hour engine.
They threw money at that too. My gosh, they threw money at that.
And there again, all of these companies like Can-Am, you know, KTM went to a guy for it, but they didn't. I still don't think they did it right. I mean, they did some things good. Polaris totally screwed the pooch.
Oh yeah, that was sad.
John, It's been a pleasure, brother. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I want to make sure you thank your family for letting me steal you for a while. Great conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody that's listened to it that you know wants to continue this conversation with us, I'm sure John or myself would be more than glad to get in the discussion with you about these things, because this is what we do. We love it.
You and I love ATVs. We just love them. It's us, you know. Yeah.
And I love to talk about the differences. And, you know, I want to find out.
The team here at ATV-TALK would love your feedback. Please email it
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to share us with your family and friends. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find us on social media as ATV-TALK Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter.